Alrighty, I'm gonna be a little rusty with this. Well, hi you guys, I am back. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and still supporting me, even though I've not been that faithful to you guys in the past year. I'm excited for this video. I've been meaning to do this video since October. I know I'm a little late. The reason I want to make this video is not only to just look back years from now and see what an impactful week it was, but also to encourage you guys to take that opportunity if you have an upcoming missions trip in your church or doing missions even in your own community. I really want this to encourage you guys in some way. So without further ado, let's get started. So last year, the spring of 2024, the church announced that we were going on in October Guatemala missions trip. We support some missionaries in Guatemala and we were going to go over there and help them out for a week. Immediately, I thought that would be a very cool opportunity, and Dad and I ended up going to the info meeting after lots of prayer and thinking about it and Dad talking with Mom. We decided that we would go, and I am so glad that we chose to do it. Just one dilemma was the trip was, I think, around $1,600, and I had to raise all that money for myself to be able to go. As a 13-year-old, I can't work for somebody, so I had to try to find a way to earn money for myself. I just reached out to a lot of my neighbors and people that we knew from our church. I was like, hey, I would love to be able to work for you guys, and just FYI, all the money will be going towards the missions trip. And so many people just reached out from that, and I did tons of landscaping, I did tutoring, cleaning, just a number of different work things, but they were just so generous, and to see how the Lord provided and answered prayer with that was a really cool testimony just leading up to that trip. And then on October 11th, I believe, or it may have been October 10th, we met at the church around 11 p.m. and then we drove to Chicago, and then I believe we got there around 2 a.m. and then our flight took off at, I believe it was 6. Yeah, we had a layover in Houston and arrived in Guatemala City. Actually, where the missionary live and where they do their work is in Zumpango. So Zumpango is on the western side of Guatemala. It is a very mountainy area. It's 2 hours west, if that makes sense. Very foresty. Zumpango is around 30 to 40,000 people in population, so it is really big, at least for me. It was just really cool to walk around. Which was Saturday night, we went to the youth group, and Pastor Ben, my youth pastor, actually interpreted the message, and then we ended up just playing a game and we ended up going home, which was an awesome experience to see how the teens worship in a different country and to see how the Lord works through that ministry. And then the next day was Sunday, and actually in Guatemala there's a market day in the morning, and then most churches meet in the evenings. So we ended up doing the market day, which was, I feel like Sunday was a good day because it was more of a rest day from all the travel. So market day, basically people go there to sell what they made throughout that week, and that's lots of the people in Guatemala make an income off. So they can sell produce, meat, basically anything, clothing. It was awesome just walking around and seeing their culture. And actually the missionary's daughter, Emily, she just graduated this past year, but she hung around with Dad and I, and it was just really cool to see how they live in that area, and it was just awesome to get to know her. Emily, if you're watching, thank you so much for taking us around and interpreting. I guarantee I could not tell a single Spanish word. It was just awesome to get to know you, and you're really encouraging. In the afternoon, we just got ready for church. Sunday evening, we ended up driving an hour through many mountains, and the church was actually in a different city from Zumpango. I actually ended up getting really car sick. Dad and then 2 other guys from our church sat right in front of me. I could not see a single thing out of that 15-passenger van. And anyway, I just got really car sick, and let's just say Pastor Ben and Dad ended up going and getting motion sickness medicine for the drive home. We may have had a misunderstanding, and I may have got a little overdosed and took it at the wrong time, and I may have gotten more sick from that. Anyway, it was just really cool because we prayed. I immediately started feeling better, and that was just an awesome testimony. So yeah, the church service was awesome. Really cool to see how people can worship and learn more about God even in a different language that I have no idea what they're talking about.
Para los edades de 4, gracias por darnos de la ideología de género.
And then Monday through Thursday, that was main thing that we did. So there was 3 main things. In the mornings, we went to the missionary's big project that he's working on. So basically, this is a complex that will be able to reach out to the people of Sumpango, but also help many of the pastors in that area. Since Guatemala is 98% reach, there's so many churches and most of the people know about Christ. The main thing is many of the pastors' families and pastors are not very close as a family and they need lots of discipleship. Oscar, the main missionary, is making this complex for pastors to be able to go and retreat and grow as a family and also grow in Christ. So there's 3 main floors to this complex. The first floor is a pool and also a conference meeting room. And then the second floor is dorms for missions trips, and then the dorms for the pastors' families to stay. And then the third floor is a multi-purpose room. So it's basically a soccer field where the community can play soccer, but also it's very big. So weddings can be held there or big, large conferences. So there is no pools in Guatemala, so that's why they're putting in a pool. So hopefully people will be able to pay money to be able to swim in that pool, and that will help sustain this complex. So what we did basically at that complex was lots of yard work. We painted a lot of the upstairs soccer multi-purpose room, and then we also painted on scaffolding the back wall, which was a lot of work. And then in the afternoons, we got showered up, and then around 2 or 3, we headed to the church that we went to Sunday evening, and that's where we hosted a VBS. So we were in charge of the games and crafts. I loved the VBS. I think the VBS was my favorite part of the whole trip. It was just really cool to just dance with the kids and praise God, and also it was also really challenging because I love kids, and they were like trying to talk to me in their Spanish, and I could not understand them, and I just felt so bad. It's really fun because kids are able to interact without those words. I just had lots of growing relationships with many of the kids there. There were these 2 little girls that just hung out with me the whole time, and they wrote me the sweetest cards. Like, guys, I seriously cried at the end of the VBS because I was just so sad to say goodbye to them. Some of them even gave gifts, and just to see how generous they were, and that was by far my favorite thing out of the whole trip. And then in the evenings of Monday through Thursday, we did house visits. So we visited 1 house per night. Our group split into 2. That was the most impactful thing, I would say. Basically, what these house visits were, at least for our group, there were people who lost loved ones, or they were taking care of loved ones who are going through the last few days of life. Very sad. I have 3 takeaways from those house visits. Number 1, to see how they trusted God, to see how they still opened up their hearts and knew that God was all powerful powerful and that he was in control of the situation. So number 2, to see how they blessed us even though we were coming to bless them. They were going through really, really hard times. They opened up and we encouraged them as much as we can. I don't know, I feel like I got so blessed walking out of their homes, and to just see how, even my third takeaway was how hospitable they were. Many of the homes gave us bread and some kind of coffee or tea drink. Yeah, they're so hospitable, and their homes by no means were fancy at all. And I consider America a very, very rich country. And then Friday, we did a tourist day, which we traveled to Antigua, Guatemala. This is probably the top 2 or 3 places that tourists go in Guatemala. Got souvenirs for my siblings, my great-grandma, my grandparents, all of that fun stuff. Really cool to read the history of Guatemala, especially that area. Yeah, like the architecture of that town. We toured a cathedral that I believe was built a very, very, very long time ago. That was awesome. And there was also a market that we went to that was very cool. And also they have, I believe, the world's nicest McDonald's, which, guys, I've never been so excited to have McDonald's. It was incredible. Saturday, we sadly had to travel back home. It was just really awesome. It really encouraged me. I definitely grew in my faith. I already knew all of the church members that went with us, but to just grow in relationships with them and learn more about them, I will for sure remember this week for the rest of my life. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I probably will not be posting nearly as much as I have, but I just want to post this on YouTube to remember it, and thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys' support, and I will see you guys sometime. I don't know when, but sometime.
Is this